Good morning, everyone. Shalom Aleichem. Welcome to another Jewish morning meditation. This Jewish morning meditation is coming to you after a long hiatus from these particular shiurim. Uh, yeah, things just happen and come up, and it's been rough for me trying to make these little videos in the morning. I'm gonna try to get back on that boat, though. It was fun while it was happening. And just over the last couple of days, I feel like since Shabbat, I've probably had about 4 or 5 different conversations with people, and the idea that I used to do these videos just kept coming up. And so I realized, you know what, it's about time I get back into it. And I think that's really part of what the meditation is going to be today. There's a flow we have in life. It exists in the world that sometimes things are smooth and easy and working, and we kind of take it for granted how well things are working out. And other times, less so. Other times, things are harder, and it doesn't work out as smoothly as I would like. And things that I was hoping to accomplish, you know, nothing's coming together. And it's an awareness that we need. There's an ebb and flow of life. The way it's talked about the angels in the vision of the prophet Ezekiel, that they were ratzov v'shov, they were running and returning. Um, right, the ebb and flow, and in the vision of Yaakov in his dream with the ladder, it was olim v'yordim, going up and down. That's life. Life is always in this constant flow and flux from one extreme to the other. And our goal, our mission in this life is to try to find that balance. And that's going to be the essence of our meditation today. How do we tune into that flow? So as you probably know, if you've followed these before, is that the idea of the Jewish morning meditation is really to go through the morning tefillot. I'm going through the Siddur, the prayer book, and just looking at each word, each phrase, and trying to say, what is this really trying to get at? And when we did this last, we were dealing with the blessings over Torah learning. And following the blessings, we recite the Birkat Kohanim, the priestly blessing. And following that, there's a couple of Mishnayot, a couple of chapters from the Mishnah, not chapters, even just an individual teaching from the Mishnah, from the rabbinic text that was the first really rabbinic text about 2,000 years ago, compiled by Rabbi Yehuda Hanassi, from the volume called Pe'ah, which is talking about the corners of fields. Look up Jewish Morning Meditation, probably around 50 or 51 if you want more on that. And it says there are a few matters which have no end to them. They have no real measure. And so one is the idea of the Pe'ah itself. Another is Bikurim, the first fruits. Another was Milut Chasadim, acts of kindness. Also Ra'ayon, seeing the temple in Israel. And now we are at the final one of these things with no measure. And this is our meditation for today. The last one is Talmud Torah, Torah learning. But Talmud Torah is more than just Torah learning. I think the best way I can almost define it is based on an ancient midrash that says God opened the Torah and created the world. Now, does that mean God opened a book and read stories about Adam and Eve? So he said, oh, I guess I'll make Adam and Eve. And God saw a story about Abraham, about Noach and a flood, and he was like, oh, I guess I have to create Noach and a flood. No. If you think that's what it is, you're not understanding it correctly, because obviously that's not what it is. The idea of the Torah is something primordial. Torah is not only the stories in it, but Torah is the essence that animates and creates those stories, which we all experience in our own lives. When it comes to Noach and the flood, the great deluge that we read about this past Shabbat, I know in my life there was a flood. I know in my life at the end of last week, there was an information overload, too many responsibilities, too much stuff to do. It was just so challenging a week. And I had to figure out, What's going to be my arc? How am I going to get through this? On an astrological level, if you're into that, we entered into Mercury retrograde, where we start kind of looking back at the last few months. And we began the month of Cheshvan, which is ruled by Mars, which is, often about fighting and argumentativeness. There would be all this discord, this kind of reflection, but it would happen with a lot of tension. That was a general energy in the world that I experienced. Maybe you did too. And again, it's part of the ebb and flow. It's not good, bad, whatever. It's just what it is. It's the way things are. And Talmud Torah says, this is how the world is going to work. The Torah, as the underlying essence of the world, that which animates all of these energies, all of these features of the world, that's Torah. Another way I'd like to look at it is the Force in Star Wars. The Force in Star Wars and the midichlorians that exist in all things, at least according to the original three, and then the prequels, the three prequels. Was still the philosophy that they worked with then. That the Force is something that ruled all things, and it was there, all things. And the question was, how connected were you to that? And the idea of Talmud Torah, of learning Torah, is saying, how deeply can I connect to the source of all things? How deeply can I connect to that which underlies all things? And so if we look at the idea of even Talmud, if we look at the Talmud, it's not just a book of laws, but it's a book of philosophy and a book of stories and a book of people's lives and their experiences. And it's a book of homily and meditation and mysticism and imagery. It's everything. And that's the idea of Talmud Torah. When I go through my life, the stories that I hear and the stories that I tell, the images that I see in front of my eyes, the experiences that I have, the things that I learn, the things that I'm told, all of it has a united essence, a united source, which we call Torah. And the point, really, of life is to delve deeper into Torah, and there's no end to it. I can always delve more deeply. This is something that there is no shi'ur, there is no measure. That our lives are an infinite opportunity for delving deeper into our experiences, for delving deeper into our lives, and for recognizing that there is an essential source of all these things which drives them and animates them and motivates them, really for our own benefit. So we can take these opportunities and recognize that life isn't happenstance. Life is meaningful and life is worthwhile on every level. And that the greatest challenges that we might face are just part of an ebb and flow leading to the next moment of greatness that we will experience. We should all really be blessed to experience the depth of Talmud Torah, to experience how deeply, intuitively we are connected to that source, and by exploring our lives more deeply, to really recognize it and see it in every moment. If you like this, give it a like, give it a share, and Be'ezrat Hashem, I will see you tomorrow morning again, 8 a.m. If not tomorrow, the next day, but we're going to try for a daily 8 a.m. Be'ezrat Hashem, have a wonderful, wonderful day.